Hello, everybody. This is Andy Smith, your 34-year veteran of the comic book industry, coming at you with another book look, where I pull a book off my shelf, go through it page by page. If it's still available, I put a link in the description below so you can go buy it and enjoy it as much as I do. Let's begin. Dynamic Light and Shade by Burne Hogarth. Yes, most people, they hear Burne Hogarth, they think of Tarzan. He had a long run on the Tarzan newspaper strip after Hal Foster. And, of course, he's written a bunch of how to draw books, drawing dynamic figures, drawing dynamic human anatomy, drawing dynamic wrinkles in clothing, I believe is the name of one, and then drawing dynamic hands. I have them all. I think they're all really good. Other artists aren't fans of Hogarth. This one is Dynamic Light and Shade. Guys, if you need help with your lighting, this book is fantastic. It's just about light and shade. There's stuff on textures in here as well. Let's dive in. Nice little introduction. In this book, let's see, when did this originally come out? I've had this book forever. First printing. Well, copyright 1981. So it was first published in 1981 as a hardback. Paperback 1991. I couldn't even tell you when I got this one, but I've had it since the 90s. So who knows? Maybe I got it in 91. Talking about silhouette. That's right, guys. In comics, silhouettes are great. They help define forms. Look at all these. These are all the same, but then when you put them in perspective, oh, cube, cylinder, triangle, you know. He shows other examples of silhouettes. I love this one because I'll do this in my own work, and not like I'm the only one, but where you cut the little white like that so it gives a little depth to the silhouette. More great silhouettes. Here's a good experiment if you're trying to learn figure drawing. Put tracing paper over this and see if you can draw out all these different characters. Not in silhouette, but keeping the outline. And then silhouettes at work. And these are just straight up silhouettes. And what I mean is there's no white cutting in or anything, but you can see what's going on. A snake in the trees. A tiger, panther, or whatever in a tree. Tarzan looking down on a lion. Some monkeys in here. And he goes into really good explanation and stuff. This is good doing some reverse silhouetting. So you've got the silhouette. That is a mistake right there. That should be black. You've got this black silhouettes of the horses and stuff, but then you've got the white silhouette of the grass and stuff cutting in to give a little dimension to it. This is a great one as well. Yeah, Frank Miller did not invent this, by the way. This is like Frank going, you know what? Sin City, Alex Toth, getting real high contrast like this. Yeah. Now, minimal light. That's where you cut white into the shapes. Love it. It adds just a little bit more of dimensionality to everything. Showing how it can work on figures. This book is thick, so, you know, you lose some stuff in the fold, in the crease, but that's okay. Love this, just a little bit. Edge lighting there. Same here. This is great. Very Alex Toth, kind of Joe Kubert-y. 5 categories of light and shade. Nice. Let's get into the 5 categories. Single source light from the upper right. So there you go. Single source right here. As you can see, or I'm sorry, right here. I always go to the black and white, not the gray tone. But yeah, this one, the upper right, single source, it's coming down. I think if this was in black and white, you'd be able to see it better because there's no reflected light kicking back in or anything. Then you've got artificial light indoors, which is like okay, to me, it's just like still pretty much one light source, not really any reflected light. Double source light, where you've got light coming from two sides, and then double source light indoors. Okay. I love stuff like this because it kind of just, if you're trying to light a scene and you're like, oh, what could be cool? And you want different ideas, stuff like this kind of helps pop to give you those different ideas. Flat diffused light, he goes into what that means. Really a lot of information here, and then even showing it outside and then inside. Flat diffused light occurs on overcast days beneath cloudy skies and tends to be cool, cheerless, and dreary rather than bright, warm, and sunny. So it really does help when you're doing full color as well. I love this right here, double lighting once again. I mean, he's calling it moonlight indoors, whatever. It's still just double lighting. Sculptural light. Sculptural light, I can sum up, because Bart actually talked about this too when I was sharing a studio with him. It's where basically every form on the body has kind of like this light source on it, and you're rendering every form. So like you can see the shoulder here, the breast here, her abs, the legs, stuff like that. On this guy's face, you know, you kind of get a sense of it with the chin, his nose, his cheeks, and all that. And you can see the cross-hatching fade into the darkness and whatnot. Single source light, just like it says, single source. Comes from one light source. Here's an example of a figure in side light. It's single source as well because it's just coming from up here. There's no reflected light bouncing in, but you can see how well it works. Same from right here. When I see this, I think of some Mike Deodato work he was doing in the Avengers, you know, Secret Avengers and stuff like that, because his lighting was so heavy on his figures and stuff. And I was like, I wonder if he's just pulling something like this. More examples of it. On God. I mean, more examples of it. And then this is really nice. You see the black on the black and a little white to cut it, to pop the wooden post out from the birds and stuff. Same with like here. He's got the halo going around that ship sail. And he does, like I said, he will get into textures and stuff. Chiaroscuro. Yeah, I know I pronounced it wrong, but it's really just white, just you know, high contrast type. This is just edge lighting, as you can see. This one has a little more light coming in, 1/3 front, basically. And then this one here is 2/3 front. But you can really see how the work just fades, kind of like Mike Mignola. Yeah, see? Overhead light, less intense light, which is kind of like almost just when you're in a room that's well lit. It's not intense. You've got lights, you know, just in my office here, I've got 3 different lights on the ceiling and would fall into that. Muted light is where it's kind of softer. This guy's in deep thought. I mean, atmospheric light, where the light is not vivid, strong, or bright. It takes on an aerial or atmospheric quality. That's really kind of like, if you think of a guy like John Byrne and like George Perez, a lot of comic artists, Tom Grummett, it's just general overall, it's light above, light coming from above in a way. Then here we've got the low light source. I mean, firelight, whatever. It's still a low light source. I have this bookmarked for myself for when I'm thinking of different lighting things, because I just like these examples. So you've got front and back. So you've got the main light source, upper left, and then just some light coming from the back to show this reflected light, right and left, because this is gray. That's a lighter, not as bright light source compared to the light source coming in from the right with the showing the white. Low major light source. Love the way this leg anatomy is split with the lighting. High major light source. These are all freaking just great for reference. Doesn't matter if you like the way Burne Hogarth draws. Trust me, I know a lot of comic artists that can't stand Burne Hogarth. But these lighting rules are just fantastic. This is great. I wish this wasn't on a 2-page spread. Just the amount of black on this with the lighting and such is just, I think, fantastic. Love the way he's done the horse and such. And he's just showing, like, this is double lighting on a head. Kevin Nolan does a lot of double lighting stuff like this. Equal intensity means the light source on either side is just as bright. And this really helps for coloring as well. As well as, doing the ink drawing. But you can see how that could be interpreted in ink. Same with this one. Guy's kind of goofy looking. He's got no chin. Good Lord. Flat diffused light. This is cool, two-dimensional shapes. This drawing contains a series of silhouette-like two-dimensional shapes and flat diffused light. Although the contours are clearly defined and the details are drawn precisely, the sense of volume or third dimension is held to a minimum. Tonal differences alone, the pale tone of the figure, the darker tone of the flora, and the still darker tone of the background divide the pictorial space into near, intermediate, and far. And that's what I mean. A lot of comic books back in the day were like this. You weren't really drawing a lot of hard lighting on the character. It was just kind of diffused and, kind of like, like I said, John Byrne, George Perez, guys like that would leave stuff really more open, which works great for comics. These are examples, of course, of prints. I don't believe he did them. Japanese prints. Japanese or Chinese. This is, of course, Burne, Tarzan. And this is great comic book stuff right here. It's not over-rendered. You can read it in black and white easily. It would be great with flat color or more rendered color. Once again, it doesn't matter if you like Burne Hogarth's work. His techniques and what he espouses here is what matters. Love this underwater, just the kind of way to do it, And if you look at Submariner in the 50s when Bill Everett created him, you can see Bill did lines like this underwater. John Buscema did some too. Other artists as well. Obviously, with today's coloring, you don't really have to, but this, for black and white, gives it a nice sense. And he's just talking, like rain. Okay, that's done in graphite. It applies for inking, of course, as well. Different types. Oh, being somber, expressive. Okay. Moonlight. I mean, if you're doing color, then sure. You can definitely get a better sense of moonlight. Just looking at this, I wouldn't automatically go, that must be moonlight. These are great too, though, just showing the intensity of the light and the fading of the forms into shadow. This is great. Double light source here. This is what I'm talking about, though. Now he gets into showing like settings and whatnot with water and different things as we go through. Another silhouetted one. Sculptural light, he goes into more. So like I was saying on this guy, you've got, if this was just lit from like one light source from above, these highlights wouldn't be as bright. Like the thing's closer to the light, so the pecs would be brighter, this would fade down more, so on and so forth. This is sculptural light. And he goes into a good way. This is also sculptural light. You can really see it, I mean, on this leg where it's like intensity, 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 you know, these highlights on all the individual big forms, you know, which doesn't really occur in real lighting. But it helps if somebody was sculpting this from, if somebody was trying to sculpt this from this drawing, these highlights would help them know and see the form better when they're doing the sculpture. Some more examples. That's just so freaking cool. Oh, bullfighting. This is cool. Total comic booky stuff here. Love it. Spatial light. He goes into values, create space. Phototropic principle, figures, and interior, first version. And he just goes through each one. So this one describes what's going on here, so on and so forth. And it's all about kind of like focus and such. Now, these are all drawn the same. It's just where he's doing the gray tones. But for a colorist, this would be great to kind of guide them with how they're going to, you know, use their values and colors when coloring something like this. You know, for instance, this, he's gray in the foreground. So, and this guy's lit, so he's more of the focus. So you could do like a purplish over this foreground stuff and then a warm color on him, you know. Whereas on this one, you could do a warm color on him and then do the background in a cooler color. So it's where you want to put the focus. This part, I just love this part of the books. It really is kind of showing like, oh, inking for comic books in a way. Another great Tarzan. Look at that elephant. That's freaking cool. Environmental light. Love this. I wish this was bigger. Midday in midwinter. Well, I don't know. I couldn't tell you that was midwinter from looking at it, but it's just cool seeing how he did the snow with the dark trees and the balance and stuff. This is great. It's a iceberg, but I mean, at the same time, depending on who colors this, it could be colored like it's an iceberg. It could be colored like rock formations. And this isn't water. You know, it all depends on the coloring. This is great. Twilight, where you've got the bridge and then a reflected bridge in the water is kind of wavy. So really great tips on inking techniques. Same here with water, even rain here. Textural light, really high contrast right here. I like it. Really dig it. And then of course you get some more textural here. So it really just depends on what you're, you know, what you're going for. Love these trees. But this book will give you, you know, it'll help you if you're in a jam on how to think of something. The shininess of this coat just reminds me of J.C. Leyendecker. Now, if you take away, it reminds me of J.C. Leyendecker and Alfredo Akela. Now, if you take away the gray tones, it won't look as shiny. The gray tones definitely help, but it really reminds me of Alfredo Akela right in there. Look at the reflections on that car, just so nice. Oh, transparent. If you're inking glass and you're like, oh, how do I ink glass? I mean, there's so many great ways to look at it in here with these examples. Look at that. Look at that ice. That's just great. Love that. Kid in water, just different ideas on water, the car. Fragmented light. I mean, he just breaks it down. That's the thing. Burne Hogarth really thought through everything and really broke it down. That's just great. All the snow and then the dust here, sand and stuff, fire. Another great way to show motion with the dust and stuff kicking up on those horses. Same with the golfer. And then getting into some comic book stuff that he did for Tarzan. Taking some of his panels and explaining it. Light, it's hard to see, but light conveys intense feeling. Kinetic light or action light expresses speed and urgency in this drawing of clash between a jungle man and armed pursuers. I think it's about like the motion lines and stuff like that, you know, that really, really sell it. Radiant light. Oh, it radiates. Oh, look, from the cover. This one I knew early on when I would look at some of Bart's stuff when I was in the Kubert school. He did an issue of Justice League with some real heavy lighting in it. And I knew he was a fan of Hogarth because of how he did his lighting with the individual forms and stuff and did the rendering out of it. And he'll tell you that. Love that. So we're getting to the end. You know, we're at 141 pages here. Cool ways to do explosions and such. Now he's just talking about different ways to render stuff. We got very Wally Wood there in space. Expressive light. Okay. Part of me wonders how much of this is padding. Like, oh, I got to come up. How many pages? Oh, charismatic light. Let me make something up for what that means. Yeah. Softened edges. And these are just kind of different rendering ways of doing things. Inferential light. The jungle man is afflicted with nightmare brought on by raging fever, symbolized by the flames that issue from the body and through the enlarged feverish head and its contracted pupils. The light expresses the body heat. I mean, I guess I wouldn't look at that and really break it down like he did there. So, you know, he could just be making shit up in a way just to go, oh, let me get something else in here. I mean, it's an effect, you know, and I get the effect, but calling it inferential light, like hallucinatory light, I get it. It's like, oh, he's seeing something, he's swinging at it. So you ink it really light and you don't add weight to it. So it looks, you know, atmospheric and such. So decorative. I mean, now this is cool and it is decorative because he's doing lots of heavy blacks, more for design than anything else. But I just love it. Love these wrinkles. These are great. Love this brush inking one here. And I love when he did the tribesmen to show without using color that they're black. He did it with the amount of rendering and black he indicated on their figures compared to Tarzan. And that's it. He ends with this great shot of Tarzan and Tantor the elephant. So there you go, guys. Dynamic Light and Shade by Burne Hogarth. Hope you enjoyed this book look. Please like, subscribe, and share the channel around. And definitely hit the little thumbs up button. Takes no time to do it. Boom. Could have done it multiple times. And check out andysmithart.com, coredraft.com. Links are in the description below. Go sign up for my next campaign, Lilith, Infernal Conflict. A new story in the world of Core Draft. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.